story of Peppa Pig. Check out the link in the description down below to download the app or buy the book. My Family Tree by Peppa Pig. Once upon a time, there was a lovable, slightly bossy little piggy named Peppa. More than anything in the whole wide world, Peppa loved jumping up and down in muddy puddles. Mummy Pig was Peppa's mummy. She was very wise about most things. Mummy Pig would say, "Peppa, when you jump in the muddy puddles, you must wear your boots." Daddy Pig was Peppa's daddy. He loved reading newspapers and had a big, round tummy. When Daddy Pig jumped in muddy puddles, he made a very big, muddy splash. Oh ho ho! When Peppa's little brother, George, was born, Peppa helped look after him. And soon as George was old enough, Peppa taught him how to jump in muddy puddles. "George," Peppa said, just like Mummy Pig, "if you jump in muddy puddles, you must wear your boots." George liked muddy puddles, but he liked his toy, Mr. Dinosaur, more. Even though George couldn't speak yet, he could say one word very well. "Dinosaur! Grrr!" Sometimes Peppa got a little bit annoyed with George. "George," she would sigh, "why do you always say dinosaur for everything? It's so boring." One day, Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig got into their little car and drove to their new house on top of a little green hill. Peppa was excited about the new house, but she was very excited about the very wet and extremely muddy puddles in the yard. "Can we go and jump up and down in muddy puddles?" asked Peppa. "It's nearly time for bed, Peppa," replied Mummy. "You'll have to wait until tomorrow." Peppa and George woke up very early the next morning and went to find Mummy and Daddy Pig. "Hee hee hee. Can we please go outside and jump in muddy puddles?" asked Peppa excitedly. "We're going to Grandpa and Granny Pig's house today, Peppa," replied Mummy Pig sleepily. "You can jump in muddy puddles there." After breakfast, it was time to leave, so Peppa and her family jumped into their little car. "Ready?" asked Daddy Pig cheerily. "Yes, Daddy Pig," everyone answered back. "Then let's go!" shouted Daddy Pig. "Yippee!" cried Peppa. She couldn't wait to get to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house and jump in muddy puddles. The family soon arrived at Granny and Grandpa's house. Peppa and George were very excited. They loved going to visit Granny and Grandpa Pig. "Granny Pig! Grandpa Pig!" cried Peppa. "Granny Egg! Papa Egg!" shouted George. "Hello, my little piggies," answered Granny Pig. "Come inside." "Granny," said Peppa, "can I jump in muddy puddles, please?" "I think Grandpa Pig had to show you something first, Peppa," said Granny Pig. Peppa was a little bit disappointed. She really wanted to jump in muddy puddles. Grandpa Pig took Peppa and George to his vegetable garden. "This is where I grow my vegetables," said Grandpa Pig. "First, I plant some seeds." "Can we eat your yummy vegetables, please?" asked Peppa, forgetting all about the muddy puddles.
"We have to wait a little bit longer for them to grow a bit bigger," replied Grandpa.
"Ooh!" gasped Peppa excitedly. Suddenly, there was a big loud bang.
"Oh dear,"
gasped Grandpa Pig.
"That was thunder. That means it's going to rain. We should hurry inside before it gets wet."
Peppa, George, and Grandpa Pig ran inside as fast as they could to get out of the rain. Peppa and George watched the rain splish, splash, splosh down the window. George started to cry. "Don't cry, George," said Peppa. "It's only rain." But George wasn't crying because it was raining. George was crying because he had lost Mr. Dinosaur. Peppa searched upstairs, downstairs, and even in the toilet. But she couldn't find Mr. Dinosaur anywhere. Just then, she had an idea. Peppa ran outside and found a very, very wet Mr. Dinosaur in Grandpa's very muddy vegetable garden. She ran inside and gave Mr. Dinosaur to George. George was very happy. "Dinosaur! Grrr! The rain has stopped," cried Peppa. "What can we do now?"
"I have a very good idea, Peppa,"
says Daddy Pig, pointing outside. "Hooray!" cheered Peppa, seeing the muddiest puddles ever. Peppa had been so busy looking at Grandpa's vegetables and searching for Mr. Dinosaur, she had forgotten about jumping in muddy puddles. Peppa loved jumping up and down in muddy puddles more than anything in the whole wide world. All of Peppa's family loved jumping up and down in muddy puddles more than anything in the whole wide world. Hee ha ha. Peppa gives thanks. It's a lovely sunny morning. Peppa and Suzy are having a tea party in the garden. "I brought my teddy to join us," says Peppa. "Did you bring your owl, Suzy?" "No," said Suzy. "I brought my new Mr. Super Snuggles. He's the best bear in the whole world." "What does he do?" Peppa asks. "He can sing," says Suzy. "And say, 'I love you.' And his eyes lights up." "Wow," says Peppa. "My teddy can't do any of those things." When Peppa gets home, she finds Mummy and Daddy Pig. "I would like a Mr. Super Snuggles, please," she says. "But you have a teddy bear, Peppa," says Mummy Pig. "My teddy is boring," Peppa snorts. "He can't sing or talk, and he doesn't light up."
"Ho, ho, ho,"
Daddy Pig laughs.
"Come, Peppa, let me show you something."
Daddy Pig shows Peppa a photo album. There are lots of pictures inside. "This is when we went camping," says Peppa. "And to the beach. And on a hot air balloon ride."
"And who is it in all the pictures with you?"
asks Daddy Pig. "My teddy," cries Peppa. Right, says Daddy Pig.
You've had Teddy ever since you were a very little piggy. That makes him very special.
We have to be thankful for the things we have, says Mummy Pig. What's thankful? Asks Peppa. It means we're happy for the wonderful things in our lives, says Mummy Pig. What are you thankful for, Peppa? Peppa thinks. My toys. She runs upstairs. Her room is filled with lots of lovely toys. What else? Asks Mummy Pig. Our house, cries Peppa. I love our house and our car and our garden.
Ho ho,
laughs Daddy Pig.
Anything else?
Peppa thinks. I know something I'm thankful for, says Mummy Pig. What? Asks Peppa. You and George and Daddy Pig, of course, says Mummy Pig. Hee Peppa giggles. I'm thankful for that too. And I'm thankful for Suzy Sheep and all my friends, says Peppa, and Granny and Grandpa Pig. Let's call Granny and Grandpa Pig right now, says Mummy Pig. We can invite them to a special dinner. Later that day, Granny and Grandpa Pig arrive. Mummy and Daddy Pig make delicious dinner for everyone. Peppa and George help set the table. This looks wonderful, says Granny Pig. Thank you for inviting us over.
Peppa, would you like to tell Granny and Grandpa what you learned today?
Asks Daddy Pig. Yes, says Peppa. I learned that I'm thankful. I'm thankful for my toys and our house and our friends. How lovely, says Granny Pig. But most of all, I'm thankful for my family, says Peppa. And my teddy. Peppa loves being thankful. Everyone loves being thankful, especially when there's so much to be thankful for. Check out the link in the description down below to download the app or buy the book. Peppa in Space. It is a sunny day. Peppa is playing with a bouncy ball. George and his friend, Edmund Elephant, are playing with their space toys. They are pretending that they are on the moon. Mummy and Daddy Pig have an idea. There is a show at the museum about the moon and space. They all go see it. But Peppa is nervous. She doesn't want to go to the moon. Will we really have to go to the moon? Peppa asks.
No, Peppa,
Daddy Pig says.
We're not going to the moon. We're going to the museum.
Mrs. Rabbit gives Mummy Pig 5 tickets.
Enjoy your trip to the moon,
Miss Rabbit says. Peppa is confused. She thought they were only going to the museum, not the moon. Then Mr. Rabbit leads Peppa and her family into a rocket ship. Peppa thinks it looks real. Mr. Rabbit even puts on a helmet, like a real astronaut. But Mr. Rabbit reminds her that it's only pretend.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off!
On the first stop of the tour, Mr. Rabbit explains that there are 8 planets that go around the Sun. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Peppa and everyone she knows lives on Earth. Some planets are made of rock. Some planets are made of ice, and some planets are made of gas. The next stop on the tour is a big room with a moon.
If this was a real moon, you could jump over my head,
Mr. Rabbit says.
Gravity is what keeps us on the ground,
Explains Mr. Rabbit.
It is weaker on the moon, so you can jump higher.
Peppa is impressed. Mr. Rabbit straps everyone into anti-gravity rubber bands. Then they bounce high into the air, as if they are on the moon. It is a lot of fun. Say moon cheese, Mrs. Rabbit says as she snaps a photo. Moon cheese, everyone cheers. The tour is over, but Peppa still has many questions. Are there trees on the moon? She asks. No, Mr. Rabbit answers. Are there any cars on the moon? Peppa asks. No, Mr. Rabbit answers. Are there any moon shops? Peppa asks.
No,
Mr. Rabbit answers.
that would be silly.
Peppa, her family, and Edmund enter the museum shop. Welcome to the museum shop, says Mrs. Rabbit. The moon shop sells many things. Daddy Pig buys a piece of moon cheese.
The moon is very tasty,
he says. But the moon is not really made of cheese. It's made of rock. Mrs. Rabbit holds out a photo. Here is a photo of the piggies on the moon with an elephant, she says. Everyone giggles. They like the picture. Peppa, George, Edmund, Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig had a fun day at the museum and in space. Peppa Pig. Peppa goes to America. Peppa and George were watching their favourite superhero, Super Potato, on television.
when a trip to America to star in my new film, Vegetables in Space, announced Stupid Potato. Just find my golden ticket to join me and my co-star, Hash Brown, here in Hollywood.
Ooh, gasped Peppa. Peppa ran into the kitchen where Mummy and Daddy were making dinner. Mummy, said Peppa, can we find Super Potato's golden ticket, please? There are only one ticket in the whole world, Peppa, said Mummy Pig. We'd have to be very lucky to find it. Just then, Mummy Pig said, "Oh, there's something in the potato."
It's the golden ticket,
gasped Peppa and Daddy Pig. We're going to America, cried Mummy Pig. A few days later, they were on the plane.
This is your captain speaking,
announced the pilot, Mrs. Rabbit.
We soon will be arriving in America, I think. Does anyone know where it is?
Is that it? asked Peppa, peering through the window. Peppa was right. It was America. Outside the airport, a bright yellow taxi arrived to collect them. The driver looked very familiar. Miss Rabbit at your service. Where do you want to go? You're Miss Rabbit? Gasped Peppa. We have a Miss Rabbit at home. Every town needs a Miss Rabbit, said the taxi driver. Hop in. Is this Hollywood? Asked Mummy Pig. No, said Miss Rabbit. This is New York, the city that never sleeps. I'll give you a tour. New York was very busy and very big. Miss Rabbit got Peppa and George ice creams, then took everyone to the first stop on her New York tour, the Empire State Building. When they reached the top, Daddy Pig closed his eyes. I can't look, he said. But there's so much to see, Daddy, cried Peppa. Miss Rabbit popped on her tour guide cap. With this telescope, you can see the Statue of Liberty, she said. Peppa looked through the telescope and across New York Harbor. I can see a big green lady with an ice cream, she cried, holding her own ice cream cone in the air. Look at me! I'm the Statue of Liberty! Hee hee! The next stop was the Times Square. Look! Called Peppa, pointing at the Super Potato billboard. That's the film we're gonna be in! You need to go to Hollywood, said Miss Rabbit. I have just the thing for you to get there. A motorhome, said Miss Rabbit. She threw Daddy Pig the keys, and Peppa's family climbed aboard. It has been a very busy day in New York. Peppa and her family needed a good night's rest in the motorhome before the journey to Hollywood.
For a city that never sleeps? It's made me very sleepy,
said Daddy Pig. The next day, Peppa and her family got straight on the road to Hollywood. Are we there yet, Daddy Pig? Asked Mummy Pig. Daddy Pig looked at the map.
Let's ask someone,
he replied, turning red. They pulled up outside a nearby diner, where someone looking familiar was strumming a guitar. Howdy, folks! I'm Miss Rabbit. It's another Miss Rabbit! Peppa cried. Yep, there are lots of us around, replied Miss Rabbit. Now, what can I do for you? Do you need gas or a bite to eat? Are we in Hollywood? Asked Mummy Pig. No, ma'am. You're a long way from Hollywood, said Miss Rabbit. But as you're here, why don't you come get some home cooking in your bellies?
Well, I suppose we could stop for some breakfast, said Daddy Pig.
After a delicious breakfast of eggs, Miss Rabbit took Peppa's family country dancing and monster trucking. Daddy's truck is jumping up and down in muddy puddles. Peppa cheered. But there was no time to waste. If they were going to make it to the film set, Peppa and the family had to say goodbye. Hash Brown is my favorite actor, said Miss Rabbit. Tell him howdy from me. Daddy Pig drove for miles and miles until... Stop! Yelled Mr. Bidson. Cannon ahead! And if you want to know more, there's an information desk over there. Peppa and her family met another Miss Rabbit at the information desk. She gave them a tour
of the Grand Canyon in her helicopter.
Wow!
Cried Peppa.
Amazing, isn't it?
Said Miss Rabbit.
These rocks have been here since the time of the dinosaurs. Dinosaur!
Grrr! Shouted George. Miss Rabbit's tour continued with a ride down some rapids. And a visit to the Grand Canyon caverns, where she showed some animal pictures drawn a long time ago.
Ooh! Cried George.
Daddy Pig drove out of the desert.
Are we nearly there yet?
Asked Peppa. I don't know, said Daddy Pig. Let's stop and look at the map.
Sir, did you know you must only stop on a freeway if it is an emergency?
Said the police rabbit.
It's another Miss Rabbit,
said Peppa. Miss Rabbit, it is an emergency. We've won tickets to be in the Super Potato's new film, Vegetables in Space, added Mummy Pig.
In that case, head straight on until you see the Hollywood sign. If you don't see the sign, look out for the stars,
said Miss Rabbit. George spotted them first.
Star! Star!
He shouted. Then Peppa spotted 2 real-life stars.
It's Super Potato and Hash Brown, she cried. We won your competition to be in your film, Vegetables in Space,
said Peppa. Then let's go to the studio, cried Super Potato. We've got a film to make. On the film set, Peppa and her family were dressed up as broccoli. Then the filming began. Lights, camera, action! Hundreds of space carrots zoomed towards Super Potato and Hash Brown's spaceship. Oh no! Shouted Super Potato. These naughty carrots will destroy the universe! If only there was some way of getting rid of them, cried Hash Brown.
We could eat them,
said Peppa. But it looks like there are too many. Just then, some unexpected visitors arrived at the studios.
Hello,
said several familiar voices.
We couldn't meet missing Hash Browns if it was Miss Rabbit. Miss Rabbit! Miss Rabbit! Miss Rabbit! And Miss Rabbit!
We have to eat the carrots, explained Peppa. The Miss Rabbits were very happy to help. They loved carrots even more than they loved Hash Brown. We did it! Cried Super Potato. Hooray! Everyone cheered. The universe was saved, thanks to Peppa and all the Miss Rabbits.
Have you had a good time in America, Peppa?
Asked one Miss Rabbit.
Yes,
said Peppa.
The best bit was everything.
Peppa loves America. Everyone loves America. Windy autumn day. Peppa and George are at the park with Mummy and Daddy Pig.
Why are the leaves red and yellow?
Asks Peppa. It's autumn time, Peppa, replies Mummy Pig. In the autumn, it gets a bit colder and the leaves change colour. It's very windy. Let's play a game to keep warm, says Daddy Pig. He kicks Peppa's football into the air. Peppa and George laugh and chase after it. Peppa reaches the ball and kicks it. The wind is so strong, it blows the ball behind her.
It's not meant to go that way, says Peppa. The ball has landed in a duck pond, cries Peppa.
I'll just use this stick to reach it, says Daddy Pig.
He leans over the pond. Just a bit further, Daddy, shouts Peppa.
I've almost got it. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Daddy Pig has fallen to the duck pond.
Daddy, is the water cold? Asks Peppa.
A little bit, replies Daddy Pig. Suddenly, the wind blows the ball out of the pond.
That's lucky, says Peppa.
Yes, what a stroke of luck, says Daddy Pig.
It's even getting windier, warns Mummy Pig. Hold on to your hats. The wind blows George's hat off his head. George's hat is stuck in a tree, cries Peppa.
I'll just climb up and get it, says Daddy Pig.
It's too thin to take your weight, Daddy Pig, says Mummy Pig. I'll give the tree a little shake instead. The hat falls down, and so do the leaves, on top of Mummy Pig.
Ho, ho, ho. I thought that sort of thing only happened to me,
says Daddy Pig. It's not funny, replies Mummy Pig. It's a bit funny, Mummy, says Peppa. Where's George's hat? Asks Mummy Pig. On your head, cries Peppa. Mummy Pig laughs. Mummy Pig gives the hat back to George. Hold on to it this time, says Mummy Pig. The wind gets stronger. It is blowing all the leaves off the trees. Look, Peppa and George,
I'm leaning into the wind,
says Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig and Peppa and George lean back in the wind. The wind is strong enough to hold us up, says Peppa. When the wind stops, they all fall over.
It's not funny,
groans Daddy Pig. It's a bit funny, replies Mummy Pig. Everyone laughs. There are no muddy puddles to jump in, complains Peppa. There are just lots of dry leaves.
What do you do with dry leaves?
Replies Daddy Pig.
Jump up and down in them.
This is the best autumn day ever, says Peppa. Everyone loves jumping up and down in the leaves. Peppa Pig. Check out the link in the description down below to download the app or buy the book. Around the World of Peppa. It is almost summer break. Peppa is outside with her friends. What are you doing this summer? Asked Wendy Wolf. I am going to the park, says Peppa. Peppa is excited. She is going to spend the summer jumping in lots of muddy puddles. I'm going to the jungle, says Pedro Pony. We're going to the desert, says Emily and Edmund Elephant. I'm going to the mountains, says Danny Dog. I'm going to the South Pole, says Suzy Sheep. The next day, Peppa and the family are driving to the park.
The car goes chugga chugga chugga, bang, clang bong. Oh dear, the car broke down, says Daddy Pig. Mummy Pig calls for help.
Look, says Peppa. Here comes Miss Rabbit.
Miss Rabbit says it will take a while, all day to fix the car.
Do not worry,
she says.
You can borrow my aeroplane.
Everyone climbs into the aeroplane. Mummy Pig wants to drive. Are we supposed to be upside down? Asks Daddy Pig.
Our next stop is a park, says Mummy Pig. Jump in muddy puddles,
cheers Peppa. Daddy Pig opens his map. I see some trees, he said. This must be the park.
Where are the swings and the slides?
Asks Peppa. This looks like a jungle, says Mummy Pig. Peppa's friend Pedro is in the jungle. Mummy Pig lands the plane on the ground. They find Pedro. The jungle is fun, says Pedro. There are parrots and monkeys.
Can we visit all my other friends too? Asks Peppa.
Of course, says Mummy Pig. It is Daddy's pig turn to fly the aeroplane. Where next? He asks.
Danny Dog is in the mountains, says Peppa.
Danny Dog is climbing a big mountain with Captain Dog. Daddy Pig lands the aeroplane on the mountain.
Hello, Danny,
shouts Peppa.
This mountain is very high.
Peppa and her family fly away again. Soon, Daddy Pig sees spots of yellow sand. This must be the desert, he says. Mummy Pig lands the aeroplane on the sand. It is not easy. They find Emily and Edmund Elephant.
We saw a lizard,
says Edmund.
It must be shy because it ran away.
Then the lizard jumps on a rock. There it is, Daddy Pig shouts. He scared the lizard away again. Dr. Elephant sighs. Do you have other people to visit? He asks. Next, they fly to the South Pole. There are lots of penguins, and Suzy is there.
Peppa,
says Suzy. Peppa and Suzy are best friends. They are very happy to see each other again. Peppa has fun with Suzy and the penguins, but Peppa still has to go to the park. Peppa and her family get in the plane and fly back around the world to get home. Whoosh.
Hello, Miss Rabbit, says Peppa. We flew all the way around the world.
Wonderful. Your car is working again, says Miss Rabbit. Peppa and George climb inside.
Flying around the world was nice, says Peppa. But something was missing. A muddy puddle. Hee hee.
Peppa Pig. Peppa's Easter egg hunt. It is springtime. Peppa is going to do something very exciting today. Grandpa Pig made an Easter egg hunt for Peppa and her friends. There are lots of chocolate eggs hidden in the garden, says Grandpa Pig. Are you ready to find them?
Yes, Grandpa Pig,
everyone says. Off you go then, says Grandpa Pig. But be careful not to step on my plants. We promise to be really careful, Grandpa, says Peppa. Peppa soon finds an egg hidden in a plant pot. I found one, shouts Peppa. Rebecca Rabbit finds an egg under a bush. And Freddy Fox finds another in a wheelbarrow. Everyone has a chocolate egg except for Richard. I wonder where the other eggs are, says Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig puts his hat on Richard's head. When he picks it up again, a chocolate egg appears underneath, like magic. Now Richard has an egg too. So what do we do now, Grandpa Pig? asked Rebecca Rabbit. Ha ha! You eat your egg, of course, laughs Grandpa Pig.
Did you enjoy your Easter egg hunt, children? asked Granny Pig.
We found all the chocolate eggs, says Peppa. They're in our tummies now, adds Freddy Fox. Good, said Granny Pig. Now, let's go see our chickens. Jemima, Sarah, and Neville. They have a special surprise. But they're just boring chickens, Granny, says Peppa. How are they special? They have eggs too, Peppa, says Granny Pig. Can we eat them? asks Peppa. Haha, no, Peppa, laughs Granny Pig. The eggs are about to hatch. The baby chicks are hatching. There they are 3. Cheep, cheep. Now that the chicks have hatched, it is really Easter, says Granny Pig. Peppa and her friends pretend to be baby chicks. They all sing, I'm a little chick singing cheep, cheep, cheep. I like to pick up food with my beak, beak, beak. I've got a fluffy yellow head and straw for my bed, and I jump up and down singing cheep, cheep, cheep. Peppa's Mermaid Adventure. Check out the link in the description down below to download the app or buy the book. Peppa and Rebecca love to play mermaids.
Sometimes I wish I were a mermaid,
says Rebecca. And don't forget to subscribe
I'd love to have a shiny tail and swim underwater every day,
Peppa replies. That gives Rebecca an idea. Let's have an under the sea party. Once upon a time, Mummy Pig and her 3 little pigs and Rebecca make some under the sea party invitations. They use lots and lots of glitter. Very shiny, says Daddy Pig.
just like mermaid tails,
replies Peppa. Then Peppa and Suzy hand out their invitations.
Yay!
The party is tomorrow, Peppa says. Please come. That night, Peppa is very excited. Remember, Peppa, the party is in 2 days. Mummy Pig reminds her. But I told everyone the party is tomorrow, says Peppa. Oh no, says Mummy Pig. We forgot to put the date on the invitations. Mummy Pig makes a phone call. Then there is a knock at the door. It's Miss Rabbit. Miss Rabbit, emergency party planner and entertainer extraordinaire, says Miss Rabbit. I hear you are in the need of an undersea party. Yes,
says Daddy Pig.
For tomorrow.
No problem, replies Miss Rabbit.
You go to bed, I've got this.
In the morning, Peppa and her family wake up and go downstairs. The house has been transformed into an underwater wonderland. Look, George, gasps Peppa. There's a beach and shells. Peppa finds some costumes. Ooh, she squeals in delight. This mermaid costume has the shiniest tail I have ever seen. The fridge is full of tasty food. There are crab-shaped treats and starfish-shaped sandwiches. Soon, the guests arrive. They are all dressed in underwater costumes. Hello, says Peppa. I'm Peppa the Mermaid, and this is George the Crab. Welcome to our under-the-sea home. Once everyone is inside, it is time for the underwater adventure to begin. First, Miss Rabbit asks the children to wiggle their toes in the sand. Ooh, says Peppa, it feels all tickly. Next, Miss Rabbit hands out the seashells. Put the shell to your ears and tell me what you can hear, she says. See! Shout the children. Then Miss Rabbit gives them some smelly toy fish. Take a good sniff. What can you smell? She asks. Ew! Shout the children. These smell fishy. When they're all done, Miss Rabbit teaches the children how to swans. Swimming and dancing at the same time, Miss Rabbit says. She waves her arms. The children do the same thing. The children love the swans. Peppa is having so much fun. She imagines that she and Rebecca are under the sea. There's all sorts of things, like seahorses, stingrays, and fish. Being a mermaid is amazing, Daddy, cries Peppa. Can we have an under-the-sea party next week? Next week? Daddy Pig repeats. Maybe he'll need to call Miss Rabbit, party cleanup extraordinaire. Peppa Pig, best friends. Once upon a time, Peppa's best friend Suzy Sheep came to play. I have something to show you, said Suzy. Suzy held up a photograph of a baby sheep. Look, it's me, said Suzy. You're not a baby, Suzy, said Peppa, shaking her head. This is an old photo, Suzy explained. It was taken when I was a baby. Peppa snorted. She didn't remember Suzy being a baby. That was just silly. Suzy pointed at Peppa. In the olden days, you were a baby too, she said. I don't remember being a baby, said Peppa. But you were, insisted Suzy. Ask your mummy. Peppa and Suzy raced inside. Mummy Pig was working on the computer. Mummy, cried Peppa. Suzy is making up stories. No, I'm not, Suzy said. Peppa told Mummy Pig about Suzy's silly idea. I don't remember being a baby, Peppa insisted. But you were a baby, Peppa, said Mummy Pig. Mummy Pig pulled up a picture of a baby pig on the computer. Who do you think this is, Peppa? She asked. Peppa thought that was a baby who looked like her cousin, Baby Alexander. Is that Baby Alexander? She asked. No, replied Mummy Pig. That's you as a baby, Peppa. Peppa was surprised. She had been a baby? Peppa and Suzy giggled. Peppa baby looked very cute. George and Daddy Pig came in to see what all the fuss was about. Look, Daddy, said Peppa. That's me as a baby.
I remembered it, said Daddy Pig. That was taken on the first day in this house.
What do you mean? Asked Peppa. Daddy Pig told Peppa, Suzy and George that they had moved into their house when Peppa was very little.
We brought all our things on top of our car, he said. Mummy Pig put up some pictures, said Daddy Pig.
Daddy Pig put up a big shelf, said Mummy Pig.
And Grandpa Pig made us a lovely flower garden.
Peppa and Suzy went outside. There was no flower garden at this house. Why don't we have a flower garden now? Peppa asked. We used to. But Daddy Pig looked after it and Mummy Pig sighed.
Said Daddy Pig, embarrassed. We had the wrong kind of soil for the flowers.
Was Suzy my friend in the olden days? Asked Peppa. Daddy Pig nodded.
Of course, he said. You and Suzy have always been best friends.
Peppa wondered what games she played with Suzy when they were little. Did we jump up and down in muddy puddles? She asked. No, Mummy Pig laughed. You were babies. You couldn't even walk yet. What did we do when we were babies? Asked Suzy. You cried, you burped, and you laughed, said Mummy Pig. Suzy and Peppa giggled. It must have been so silly being babies. Baby Peppa, Baby Suzy. Then you two grew into toddlers, continued Mummy Pig, and you played together all the time. But where was George? Peppa asked. He wasn't a baby in my tummy, said Mummy Pig. Peppa thought for a moment. Daddy Pig's tummy was even bigger than Mummy's. Is there a baby in there? She asked.
No, Peppa, chuckled Daddy Pig. This tummy is pure muscle.
Soon, George was born, said Mummy Pig. Granny and Grandpa Pig brought him a very special present. Can you guess what it was, Peppa? Peppa knew just what present it must have been. Mr. Dinosaur! She cried. Goo goo grrr. Daddy Pig said that little Peppa and Suzy liked to do everything together. They liked to jump, dance, and run around all over the place. Then one day, said Mummy Pig, you saw something amazing. a muddy puddle. You love jumping up and down in muddy puddles together, said Mummy Pig. Peppa and George and Suzy all ran outside. I still love muddy puddles, cried Peppa. Me too, cried Suzy. Peppa, George and Suzy looked for the biggest muddy puddle they could find and jumped right in. Bah! Snort, snort! Daddy Pig brought his camera. Let's take a photo of you, Suzy. And George, now Peppa, he said. Yes, exclaimed Peppa. Because Suzy and I were best friends in the olden days, and we still are best friends now. Little or big, Peppa and Suzy will always be best friends. And they will always love jumping up and down in muddy puddles. Peppa gives thanks. It's a lovely sunny morning. Peppa and Suzy are having a tea party in the garden. I brought my teddy to join us, says Peppa. Did you bring your owl, Suzy? No, said Suzy. I brought my new Mr. Super Snuggles. He's the best bear in the whole world. What does he do? Peppa asks. He can sing, says Suzy. And say, I love you. And his eyes lights up. Wow, says Peppa. My teddy can't do any of those things. When Peppa gets home, she finds Mummy and Daddy Pig. I would like a Mr. Super Snuggles, please, she says. But you have a teddy bear, Peppa, says Mummy Pig. My teddy is boring, Peppa snorts. He can't sing or talk, and he doesn't light up. Ho, 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 Daddy Pig laughs. Come, Peppa, let me show you something. Daddy Pig shows Peppa a photo album. There are lots of pictures inside. This is when we went camping, says Peppa. And to the beach. And on a hot air balloon ride. And who is it in all the pictures with you? Asks Daddy Pig. My teddy, cries Peppa. Right, says Daddy Pig. You've had Teddy ever since you were a very little piggy. That makes him very special. We have to be thankful for the things we have, says Mummy Pig. What's thankful? Asks Peppa. It means we're happy for the wonderful things in our lives, says Mummy Pig. What are you thankful for, Peppa? Peppa thinks. My toys. She runs upstairs. Her room is filled with lots of lovely toys. What else? Asks Mummy Pig. Our house, cries Peppa. I love our house, and our car, and our garden. Ho ho, laughs Daddy Pig. Anything else? Peppa thinks. I know something I'm thankful for, says Mummy Pig. What? Asks Peppa. You and George and Daddy Pig, of course, says Mummy Pig. Hee, Peppa giggles. I'm thankful for that too. And I'm thankful for Suzy sheep and all my friends, says Peppa, and Granny and Grandpa Pig. Let's call Granny and Grandpa Pig right now, says Mummy Pig. We can invite them to a special dinner. Later that day, Granny and Grandpa Pig arrive. Mummy and Daddy Pig make delicious dinner for everyone. Peppa and George help set the table. This looks wonderful, says Granny Pig. Thank you for inviting us over.
Peppa, would you like to tell Granny and Grandpa what you learned today?
Asks Daddy Pig. Yes, says Peppa. I learned that I'm thankful. I'm thankful for my toys and our house and our friends. How lovely, says Granny Pig. But most of all, I'm thankful for my family, says Peppa, and my teddy. Peppa loves being thankful. Everyone loves being thankful, especially when there's so much to be thankful for.